Hey everyone, this is AG and IJ here. I pointed to her even though we're not on camera anymore.
You never let me introduce myself.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm IJ. I exist. I am a real person and not an android.
Yeah. So because of
Speaking of androids,
because of certain things that happened, we're unable to record video now in a manner that we want. So what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be recording audio and we're going to be doing some stuff with the podcast afterwards. Hopefully that goes well.
we'll see how it goes.
So, for the series that we decided to do a first impression of, we decided to do Gundam Wing.
Yeah. And apparently,
Completely coincidentally, there was a section on it.
Oh.
I forgot to grab. I forgot to. Completely coincidentally, the Nostalgia Critic did a Toonami block, and one of those things that he talked about was...
I haven't watched him in ages.
Yeah, he talked about Gundam Wing.
Mm-hmm. Like,
and
was
the way
familiar
that
with...
the way that they mentioned it was, it's a good series. It's like, you're not going to explain much. It's like, it's a giant fighting robot series. They're all the same. And I went... They know what imagery what images they're showing, right? They show it from the first five. They show a lot of scenes from the first 5 episodes, the episodes that we watched. Mm-hmm. Gundam as a series, if you don't know, is about military. Is about young. I don't want to say young kids, but they're
14?
Yeah, their kids are around like 14 to
Freshman
about 20.
high school age.
Yeah, getting into robots and then fighting the forces of evil aliens.
The man, basically.
But what's interesting
these aliens are humans.
Yeah, Gundam Wing is one of the first series in which they actually pit humans against each other. But then again, that's what... No, I can't say that because I'm not too versed in the series. Because
I think
at its core...
At
its core, it's giant fighting robots hitting each other, and when anybody hears that, they think, "Oh, cool. Okay, so it's like every other series." But Gundam Wing is different than other Gundam series, and
also not all Gundams are made equal, and not all Gundam heroes are made equal either.
Yeah, for instance, like
Heroes Insufferable. Just right off the bat,
yeah,
some of these characters did not age well, and it's really weird looking back at it, because I maybe watched an episode of Gundam growing up as a kid. Maybe 1, maybe 2, but I can't remember much about the series, because I was watching Dragon Ball Z instead. And Batman was kind of on, Batman the animated TV show was kind of on at the same time too, and when you got competing spots trying to take up attention, and you're like 7, 6, 5, there's a lot of hard choices to make, and series which you could have enjoyed, get left by the wayside. I probably would really like the Big O if I had watched it as a kid.
I much prefer the Big O as a series. I much prefer Code Geass as a series. I much prefer Macross as a series. Gundam has never really sat in my heart as like a masterpiece.
There were characters that didn't age well.
Yeah, there were several characters there were several series that I go, yeah, this was cool. Probably not gonna pay too much attention to it because there's so many more interesting things out there. And here we get to Gundam Wing,
which it's kind of weird because the main character is what shonen protagonist Lancer, which is like the right hand man of the main hero of a shonen protagonist. That's what Hero is. He's the second fiddle. He's the second fiddle that's in some reason in charge of the team, and his Lancer is every shonen protagonist I've ever seen in my life. He's plucky, he's an underdog, he tries to bring out the best in everyone. He's not insufferable, well, not completely insufferable. Like he has his moments where I'm like, just shoot him, please. We don't have to do this. We don't have to do this.
But the one thing I will say about Gundam Wing as a series is if you are not prepared for it, and if this is the first Gundam series you've ever watched, they are not all like this. Like, they are...
Yeah, and I know this.
I want to say they are kind of, but not really.
Yeah.
Like, not every Gundam series involves the main characters being terrorists. I am not kidding.
That's actually exactly what they're. The main character threatens to kill what I can only assume is his future waifu in the second episode. He threatens... First? Oh, it is in the first one. Threatens to straight up take a knife to her throat.
And it's like, so this is the good guy. It's like, yes, because
he has a heart of gold. He's an assassin with a heart of gold. And I'm like, Doc, I don't believe you. Like, I literally wrote, I don't believe you, this guy has a murder fix and must be stopped.
Yeah.
But I think it gets bad, it gets better, because I think it makes you want to root for the heroes more, because in the 5th episode I kind of saw that a bit. That, you know, I could root for this guy.
Yeah, because it's
maybe if he wasn't such a killjoy.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, so they're being...
There's potential here.
So they're attacking the bad guys who... Okay, so for context, I watched the sub and she watched the dub.
Yes.
She got to experience the fact of the greatest voice in fiction playing the bad guy.
That's actually why I wanted to watch the dub. I originally have him as Mr. McAwesomehat, and I wrote his actual name.
The other guy.
Oh.
The
Prose.
Yeah, he's voiced by...
He literally... There's a scene in which he's going down at the range to shoot, like, clay pigeons and stuff, and he's just standing there with his gun talking on, like, a screen to someone, and he waits for an actual bird to come up and just caps it, and I'm like, I have to see them destroy him. I want nothing more than to watch Duo and the others just annihilate him. He's so much fun to watch. He chews the scenery. It's amazing. But no one chews the scenery more. Because I want it Zax than Zax.
Zax is pretty good.
I'm like...
Like, I thought that this was going to be a different Gundam series. I just remember that Wing was the one that first aired on Toonami, which is the reason why I picked this one. Probably best we
began with this one.
Yeah.
And in fact, Zex is part of, I remember you talking to me about this, the, piece of art that's sold in France.
No, wrong one. It's from a different, it's a different character than I was thinking of.
Okay.
From the original series.
Okay, alright. Still, Gundam, because this has been, a Gundam series has always been on my list of, like, shows I should at least give a chance to watch.
Yeah, and now that you've given
it's such a landmark series that, you know, you kind of have to check and see what all the fuss and all the hubbub is about.
Yeah.
Because it's worth your time. I will say this, it's worth your time to check and see if you like it. Maybe don't start out with this one, maybe find, maybe one that has aged a bit more gracefully.
Yeah.
Although there are characters that are a blast to watch. You know, I have nicknamed basically every member of the hero cast. There's, of course, Duo, which is my favorite. Hero, which is,
your least favorite?
Sociopath. No, that's Wu.
Oh,
that's Mr. Mick. I did not age well in this format at all.
He's, yeah, he just shows up and he's like, the reason why you lost is because you're a woman. And I go, whoa, calm down, dude.
No, that's not why. She wasn't doing her job, and she should get hung out to dry for that. But that's no reason to bring that statement in. It's because she's soft and clearly has not seen an actual fight scene.
Yeah, she's
with a living person.
What was it? She said if anyone dies in a conflict, it's inexcusable. And
Zach's just like,
oh,
stares
honey,
at her like, oh, sweetheart, oh, come here, girl.
But yeah, it's like,
but
there isn't too much to talk about the series because it is kind of generic.
I do. Well, probably if I had watched it when I was a kid, I would have been more impressed by it.
Maybe it's because we didn't get far enough into the actual series.
I will say this too.
For it to get more interesting.
Maybe if we got like 15 episodes in, because I will say this: the show has.
I still
potential.
feel if you give it more than 5 episodes in a run, and you're not hooked, I would drop it. Like I have done that to several series. Like I don't even think I got to episode 5 of Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead.
I didn't even get 5 seconds in with either of them. I saw clips and went, nope, not for me. But yeah, the 2 of the other characters of the main cast, which I've nicknamed Q and Edge Boy trademark, because like he's like a stereotypical like edgy character who's clearly trying too hard. Yes. And like tames the lion with his mind. I'm like, dude, you're trying too hard.
We are both caged animals. I can communicate with him.
It's like, dude, you're trying too hard, but I can get behind this.
So
like, I would keep going for those 3 characters. And plus, it's a short series. It's not that long.
Kind of.
Well, I saw 39 episodes on the docket. That's as far as I would get.
It's we would be done with it by now if it was the podcast. If we were doing it for the podcast, let's just say.
Yeah, I would have watched could have gotten done with it in like a month.
One of the okay, so do you want to just go straight into the medals then?
Yeah. Bronze.
I'd give it a low silver, but yeah.
I would give it a bronze, low silver. It's right on that edge. The thing that makes me want to be more lenient with it is the fact that it is an older series. But I'm like, it's
not the
and
fact that it's old,
I would have
it's
enjoyed it more if I had watched it as a kid is the thing.
I honestly believe it's not because it's old. It's because there are better giant fighting robot series out there.
And we've named a couple of them already.
Yeah. I would rather sit through all of the Big O again than watch like another few episodes of this.
Yeah.
Like, because the Big O is such a great, interesting world that I think that's the problem. When your entire appeal for the series is, we have giant fighting robots, it's boring.
Yeah, and really, they only have a handful of characters that entice me at all. 2 of them are the villains of the series, which I just want to watch one of them get kicked in the teeth.
Because here's the thing. You don't have figures. People do not sell figures of the people inside of the Gundams. People have models of the Gundams. Because the Gundams themselves are the most important part of the series. You can tell this because of how they're designed, how they go about. And it's why I give it a series, because the Gundams are still well designed. They have...
Also, I think they put the wrong people in the wrong Gundam. Like Duo is the one that has Death Scythe. And for a while it tripped me up because I thought the edgy guy was in Death Scythe. I was like, this doesn't fit. I think they switched these guys around. Like, Wu is in the right... He's the only one in the right robot. And everyone else is just switched around. He's got a snake
for a hand.
Probably because he is a snake.
Yeah. Either way, that's basically all we had to say about it. It's a lot shorter than most of our breakdown series because...
Well, there's nothing really to talk about.
Again, because...
We don't know a lot about the Gundam series. We're not really big Gundam fans.
Yeah.
I mostly just wanted to watch this because I've never watched a Gundam series before. And I'll probably watch others. Like, when we get around to doing the Big O, I'll watch that one.
Yeah, we might do Orphans. That might be interesting. That's that's one of the current series.
Okay, yeah. It's not like what's that series? What's that series? It's the Gundam series that Woo would. It's not a Gundam series, but the mech robot anime series that Woo would like.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Okay, either way, let's move on to One Piece.
One Piece.
Okay, so episode 101.
Whew.
Ostrich and his assistant Popo the Ostrich.
Scorpion. You just said Ostrich and his assistant Ostrich.
Yeah, so Scorpion and his assistant Popo the Ostrich.
That's really his name. We're not trying to make a clever joke. That's actually his name.
Yeah.
So we opened up this series on
this random guy waiting for Ace to come around, and he just so happens to run across him in this massive desert.
Mm-hmm. And you can really tell in this that despite it being a filler, you can really tell that Ace is he really spent his entire childhood trying to make up for the fact that Luffy was a wild child. He's like overly polite about stuff. He's like, oh, you are clearly Luffy's brother, and Luffy is clearly the one that got the most negative attention of the lot.
Yeah.
Or that's how it really feels in this episode. We learn more as the series goes on.
And then these two kids come out of nowhere who look like that they're from a completely different art style.
They look like they're from... Okay, imagine this. Imagine if an early 2000s dub show with the 4Kids budget, not the Japanese team, the English localization team, had to scrap together an episode with a budget of peanuts and were told to make 2 filler characters and to name them. What do you think that they decided to call these guys?
Why did they name these kids Dip and Chip?
Is it sad that these are not the weirdest / lamest names that we'll get in One Piece?
No. Okay, so Scorpion is basically like, okay, I'm gonna shoot Ace with this really powerful bullet. Let's do this. And I was like,
it's more of like, it looks like it's supposed to launch a missile or some kind of a grenade. I think it's closer to a grenade launcher than anything else thinking about it.
But then it's like, oh no, I was like, it starts fumbling, it fumbles out and it almost hits the ground and he yells out, no, half of Alabasta will be destroyed if I do this. And I was like, oh, no, it won't.
You're too confident in your own abilities.
So Luffy runs into this guy, saves him from effectively just not dying from an explosion, and he basically goes, what exactly does he say again? He basically tells Luffy that to fulfill his dream, he must get enough money to get out of his current situation.
Yeah, it's basically that. He's trying to take on very big fish that he has no business trying to rustle up, basically.
So it's like, yeah, we'll just put it to the list. 6. He has like, was it Ace that had the steel guitar as his like instrument? Or was it, or is it just Scorpion has a bunch of steel guitar in the background as he's attacking him?
I forget. I was too busy being like slightly bored by this episode to concentrate on the music.
The only interesting thing is that he pulls out a flamethrower just filled with water.
Hey, at least he tried something. You know, he realized Ace was someone he should not be taking on. But you know what? He tried. And Ace probably gets upstarts like this all the time.
Yeah.
It seems like for him, it's like, well, dealing with this again. At least he's trying, though, so I can't, be disappointed in him or insulted. It didn't seem like Ace was insulted by this. It seemed like he's like, well, it's an average Tuesday.
Yeah, and then Dip and Chip basically say, oh, that guy right there is actually our dad. And I was like, oh, okay. And then they basically just send them off. But we get a slight flashback to why Scorpion is doing this, and it literally boils down to, I had to give up my dreams to raise a family, which you don't see often in One Piece, because usually it's, I will follow my dreams to the ends of the earth, but this guy's like, I had to give up my dreams because that happens sometimes, and it's like, it's an oddly.
And we don't get this discussed again until, Skypiea. So, and this is an uncommon thing that One Piece delves in, which is, understandable why this comes from a filler.
Yeah. So, after they basically just, send him off, Ace goes, okay, I gotta leave. Luffy, take this blank piece of paper. And it's like, okay, I guess he's already gone.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, at least he did something, and there was a little bit of action in this episode, but.
Important action, too.
But, now we get the scene that what actually happened on the ship in the manga, where it's like,
where they
here,
just
have this blank piece of paper. Nami in the next episode, it's not even the next episode, it's like episode 5 or something, sews it into his hat to, make sure that he doesn't, so he doesn't, lose it.
You keep talking, I'll find it.
And now we're on episode 102.
Oh, it's 103 that she sews it into his hat. Well, yeah. So 102.
And the last episode of the filler.
Uh-huh. In which we see Gum Submarine, which we
Gum Submarine was very interesting.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's like.
Which he never uses again because it's not a canon move for him, I don't think.
Although something really interesting about this episode. He might use
something like it, though.
I started noticing this.
What?
There were some scenes in which... Oh, this is
the episode where they fall in the hole! Okay,
yeah. So Luffy starts yelling, and it sounds like he's down at the bottom of a hallway. And it's like, why is the echo really bad? And then it's like, you see Zoro, walking off, but because they have to zoom back out to show Nami, it's, super zoomed in on his crusty JPEG of a back. And it's like... And so it's like, I'm just, standing there going, we're not even 5 minutes into this, and I could tell the editing is terrible.
Yeah. I do like Zoro's lines. This is the best line I've gotten from Zoro in quite some time, where he tells Nami, if you don't wind up in hell, I'll kick you down there myself. And I'm like, oh, he's angry today.
Whoops, I missed a call. I forgot that my phone was on that my phone was on Do Not Disturb. Whoops.
Yeah, you can get that afterwards.
So yeah, it's like, so Luffy, Zoro, and Chopper
goes crazy.
Are stuck in the middle of nowhere because of Luffy freaking out because of cactus juice. They are now stuck. Did we get
confirmation that he did imbibe in cactus juice again for the second time?
I have no idea.
In his desert trek? Well, it wouldn't.
Which is weird because he had. Oh wait, no, he didn't have the thing of water yet.
Yeah, because this isn't canon, so why would he have it?
So for the next 5 minutes or something, Zoro waxes very philosophical about can they trust Luffy? Can they? Is he too much of an impulsive person to actually
Which they had to have had this conversation sometime in their journey. This part isn't the part that bothers me or disturbs me. it's because I do believe that Zoro had this conversation with himself or someone else at some point in the journey. Relatively early on, probably, and never questioned it again until the recent part of the series, but we won't get there for several years. But so I do believe Zoro had this conversation sometime off screen.
Yeah.
Other parts of this episode are complete hogwash, and we probably shouldn't mention them because they're complete filler.
We're gonna have to talk about it though. So
Yeah,
they
we
make
are.
it to this like shade on the stone.
Giant mushroom like
the
rock.
giant mushroom like rock, and Luffy, and was it Zoro? Yeah, Zoro falls into a hole, and he
falls in. No, he sinks into a hole through like quicksand, and then Chopper, who is also there, by the way.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Oh, you did.
It's like in another spot, like also kind of sinks into the sand, but all three of them basically end up in this massive dome. Mm-hmm. And in the center of the dome is a cube.
Really weird rock. It's this.
It's a cube with a bunch
rock.
of hieroglyphs on it, and they're like, and Chopper's like, I can tell that the writing is old, but that's all I can tell about it.
And he's somehow seen the stuff before, which doesn't surprise me because Dr. Kureha is a youthful 139, which, by the way, after years and years of hearing that, I realized why she doesn't want to say she's 140. Because 4 is a bad luck number. She's not going to celebrate it again until her birthday again, probably until she's 150. I don't know why it took me so long to piece that together in my mind. I just about slapped myself in the face when I realized that. It's like, I've been following the series for years and I never realized that. It's so obvious now. I just wanted to say that because if I didn't, I would feel even worse about it.
So Luffy goes, okay, I'll just bring us back up. So he uses Gum Spring, which is probably the most ineffective move he's ever used. Which is like, he grabs everyone, wraps around a wraps around an old pillar, and then flings them upwards. It's like, this feels very, not very useful.
Gimmicky?
Meanwhile, with Nami and the rest of the crew, Usopp goes from being, look at me, I'm manly, to I'm not that manly anymore. In like 5 minutes. Whoa. Sorry, I was just looking at the...
My knee bumped the table.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I just about had a heart attack.
Yeah, so it's like... so they meet back up.
Yeah.
Bronze.
That's it.
We are not going to talk about why this is a bronze episode.
Oh yeah, both of these... Because this episode in particular becomes even more of like a dingy bronze the farther into the series you get. Right now, it's vaguely interesting.
It's vaguely
if this
silver.
Wasn't filler, it might be gold.
Like, you say in your head, oh, this is filler, so it doesn't even matter. But then it's like, wait, this comes back later. Wait a minute.
And it just slips farther and farther. It doesn't quite reach stone, or even
no.
get
There are
close to
worse
being
episodes
stone.
in this bunch. There's one coming up. That might actually be my stone, by the way.
Oh no, I loved the 3 episodes that came after it.
Yeah.
I got a really odd kick out of these next 3 episodes.
So episode 103.
Oh, I loved this episode. Okay. So, I love everything about this episode. It's not a gold, it's just a really, really enjoyable silver.
So Baroque works as like, okay, we're gonna go to our usual meeting spot.
Because it's been pounded into our heads previously that these guys have never met before. They have
or at least,
heard of each other, but they've never met.
The top 5 have probably met each other at least once. But people
maybe
under them
Mr. 1
probably
and Mr.
haven't.
4 have met. I don't think Mr. 2 has met any of these guys before. I think he's
he's mentioned that he's interacted with Paula before.
Well, I think they've all interacted with Paula before, but they didn't realize who she was.
Yeah.
Like,
So
they probably
we
had
have-
suspicions, but no confirmations.
So we have Mr. 2, who's alone, Mr. 4, and his teammate Miss Christmas, who is insufferable.
Oh, so insufferable. But you know what? It wasn't a bad insufferable. I'll talk about it after we get the reveal. And we get the showdown. The throwdown.
Mr. 3 is here, but he's not admitting his presence. 5 has been taken out. Mr. 5 and Mr. 3 and their group has been fully taken out in Little Garden, and only Mr. 3 is here to actually witness this. And then Mr. 1 shows up, and Paula, the cafe owner, basically admits that she is Mrs. Doublefinger.
Which, in my heart, I was like, something familiar about her. Because I haven't seen all of these episodes, and it's been years since I read the Baroque works. I'm like, something familiar about her. Is she Miss Doublefinger? Nah, she's too put together to be Miss Doublefinger. And then it's revealed she is, and I was so furious with myself. It's like, no, she got me a second time.
So, because all of the women are named after days, and the more important the day, the higher up on the list it is, she is Mrs. Doublefinger, meaning that she is Day 1-1, aka New Year's, which is what a lot of dubs, especially the 4Kids version, just retitled her to Miss New Year's.
In fact, it's the only thing that they get right.
Yeah.
And the fact that Chopper is supposed to be a reindeer.
Yeah.
It's the only thing they get right.
Don't they call him like no, caribous are reindeer. I was like, isn't that? I was like, yeah.
Yes. So, yeah.
So.
Oh, I loved these
so.
episodes.
So who was it that mentioned that they have messenger lizards on the prowl, and it showed
that
them.
That was Mr. Zero.
Oh right, it's like
Mr.
we sent
Zero...
our frilled lizards in swimsuits out to carry our important messages, and I'm like,
Didn't
weird.
Ace kill? Didn't Ace?
No, that one's a bigger one.
Okay.
But it's like.
I love how kooky this arc can get. It's wonderful. That's not a bad word, right?
What?
The word I just used?
It doesn't matter. Okay, so...
Well, I need to know if I'm being insulted or not.
Okay, so... Meanwhile, with Luffy and the gang, they finally reach...
Yuba.
Yuba.
It's dead.
Yeah, it looks like that a sandstorm has been wrecking it for years. Mm-hmm. And...
Because this place is perfectly downwind of the capital.
Yeah.
So this place has probably been having its water stolen by the nearby area. Which would be very unsurprising for me if that turns out to be the case.
Yeah. So it actually is pretty sad to look at this, like, town that was talked about in the flashbacks as an
oasis and
as like a perfect oasis, and it's like, hey, we're gonna build a town here, it's gonna be prosperous, and it's like you see, and it's all destroyed, and the only person who's left in the city is Koza's dad, who is looking all
Toto.
Yeah, looking all gaunt and like and just having his like all of his just energy is just drained from him. Until
he sees Vivi again, and it kind of like lights the fire back in him.
Yeah. So it's like, and we also see that guy that Chopper almost ran into with the sunglasses is Koza, who I'm like, oh, he's been wearing a hat so long I didn't realize he was blonde. Okay.
Well, it's really hot there.
Yeah, so it's like, and so Koza, meanwhile, he's all the way over on the other side of the river.
Which would explain all of the heavy rebellion presence we saw in Nanohana, because they had just gotten there and were just beginning to set up shop when the group was leaving.
Yeah. And it's... What was it? It was... He sees this kid who wants to join up because he's the same type of personality as Koza, where he's like, I want to fight for what oh wait, no, that's not until the next episode.
Yeah, that's not until a while afterwards. I'd give that episode, though, a high silver. Wasn't
Same.
gold. I will readily admit my enjoyment of it is purely superficial and purely for the shenanigans that happened with the officer agents.
So the next episode...
Pillow fight!
Yeah, pillow fight.
That was so weird to see. It's like...
It was like they're having a fun pillow fight while this old man's just like digging outside, like crying to himself as Luffy's going. He's like, yeah, let's make some Fist of the North Star references. Let's all have that fun. And it's like, okay, so we get introduced to Rain Diner's Casino,
which is said to
in
be
Rain Base.
the city of dreams.
It's this big casino town that is organized by Crocodile, and you can tell because there's a bunch of crocodile. Oh wait, sorry, they're not crocodiles. They're banana gators. I forgot.
That's malarkey. They're giant golden crocodiles.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not sure why they were surprised that a guy named Crocodile who had a crocodile themed like building was Mr.
We
Zero,
get the coolest
who owns
shot.
that crocodile themed building.
We get the coolest shot, though. How, like, all of his officer agents are, like, talking about him and stuff. And Miss All Sunday just struts down and she says, it's finally time to meet the boss. Crocodile turns his chair around and it reveals he's been there the whole time.
It's like, hello, no one noticed I was sitting in this chair. And I was like, what?
I flipped out. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've seen. This guy is a Bond villain.
So they go over their plan off screen, and they're like, okay, so the plan will commence noon tomorrow. And it's like, oh, this might not be good. Oh, Mr. 3 shows up. Oh, this is weird. Oh, he just admitted the fact that he wasn't the one talking onto the in the transponders now, meaning that Vivi's still alive. Oh, I think the entire plan just threw out the window.
Yeah.
But something that I didn't notice, it is actually confirmed.
What?
The transponder snail on Crocodile's end had Sanji's eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like, I've always wondered about this, and people were like, no, they just designed them to look like themselves.
Well,
and it's like, no.
Because they take on the emotions
They took on the emotion
has.
and the person, they take on the emotion and the characteristics of the transponder snail, meaning he should have noticed that he didn't, he should have noticed that it looked different than normal.
Is Crocodile natively from the Grand Line? Or is he from
I can't remember.
else?
I thought he was from, like, the West Blue
I
or
need
something.
to look that up.
Either
Keep
way.
talking, because, like, that, like, gets me very curious.
So, what was it? It was, yeah, so Crocodile, in his anger, grabs Mr. 3, sucks all of the water out of him, and then throws him to the banana gators.
And, like a proper Bond villain, he basically dangles him, like he basically dunks him in a pool of vicious animals, and then turns his back and doesn't see him die. Like, naturally, I'm like, he's probably dead. But this is a manga series.
Yeah.
Like, he's probably dead, though. He's probably good and dead.
Meanwhile, oh look, the, oh, what was it? I had it written down somewhere.
Luffy gets a small jar of water.
Yeah.
Or is that no, that is in this episode.
Yeah, they get a genuine Yuba water, right?
But what we do here is that
Oh yeah,
Crocodile...
Chaka and Pell finally get their character designs fully straightened out. That was interesting.
Also, Crocodile repeats two or three times. Whatever they do, they cannot let the Royal Army and the rebels meet up.
Because there is a good chance that one of them says, okay, we give up. And that would be terrible for Crocodile because he wants as much bloodshed as possible so he can step in. Meanwhile, with Luffy and Vivi, Luffy gets kind of indignant, basically going, I quit. And I was like, do you know what? We can't do this. And Vivi's like, why? And he says, because I want to punch Crocodile right now, this instant. And it's like, do you know what? We're gonna just give over we're effectively gonna just roll over for the rebels. Who cares if they just burn things down? I just want to punch Crocodile. And she kind of gets upset.
As she should, you know. But it kind of takes several of the crew members a while to realize what's actually happening here. Like what Luffy's actually trying to do in talking to her like this. Because I realized it the instant he began putting up a fuss. Like, this is a typical, oh, I'm bored thing that Luffy probably does from time to time. But, once he really starts to put up a fuss, I'm like, oh, that's what he's doing. Okay, I get this.
Yeah, and he says something to Vivi where he basically says, we're friends, aren't we? And it kind of, knocks her out of her being upset. And I forget what And so they decide that they're actually going to go to Rain Base. They're going to go straight to Rain Base as the rebellion starts to head for Alubarna.
Which is along the way. Which Rain Base just
No,
happens
it's not.
to
It's
be
on the other side of the river. You have Rain Base and you have Alubarna, and it's separated by a river.
Okay. I must have gotten the locations wrong then. Okay, then. Yeah. So, we got Rain Base now.
I would say the episode's a gold. What would you say?
Oh, episode 104. It was a high gold for me.
Yeah.
It was just all of the scenes with Crocodile were just so good. It was shot so well. I was like, I love every second of this.
It's really nice for all of the villains to finally be in one place interacting with each other. And even though they did that a little bit in the previous episode, it's a lot more here because each of their personalities are shining out. Whether it's stoic, the stoic Mr. 5, or it's Mr. 2 being himself. It's really interesting. Episode 105 is where things start going getting really good.
And things start getting crazy.
Gum No Way. Where he's just keeping the thing of water away from Usopp.
Yeah. And Koza has his no other way speech to a very small Koza.
Yeah. That's also a really gnarly wound on that guy's shoulder.
Yeah.
It's like, dang.
He basically scares the kid off because Koza does actually care about the people. He's not just doing it because he is a war profiteer like Crocodile is.
Meanwhile, Chaka and Bell are kind of
impatient.
Oh, they find out that Karu gets back.
Oh yeah, he gets back and nearly drowns himself in Alubarna's water supply, basically.
Just acting super adorable. And it's like, you've done well, little duck.
And Vivi's message gives them hope and kind of rallies the Royal Guard up again, which I think came at the perfect time.
Yeah. So now the king is is aware that not only is Vivi alive, but they do not need to wait for her
And that Igaram is dead.
Yeah, effectively. And basically going, if you can effectively stop the rebellion, if you could effectively stop the rebellion before they destroy things, you're good. Which, goes completely against what Crocodile wants. So, something bad's probably going to happen.
Oh, something awful's probably going to happen. Yeah.
Luffy and Usopp finally get into town. They're finally there in Rain Base.
Oh, something else we have to mention. Sanji tells the girls to call him by his new, undercover name, the Prince. And I'm like, you just couldn't get any crazier, Sanji, could ya?
Yeah, it's like...
Nothing to speak of here.
Yeah, so Luffy and Usopp run into a bar, order order 5 barrels of water, and as they're drinking, they look over as Smoker is basically sitting on the other side of the bar going...
No, right next to them. He's 5 feet away from Luffy. The only thing that separates him and Luffy is Tashigi.
No, Tashigi's on the other side.
She is?
Yes.
Okay.
But...
Then Usopp is the only thing that separates.
Yeah, so they basically just effectively throw a bunch of water at him to distract him.
Yeah,
as they run away with the other 3 barrels, which I actually liked, the continuity of the fact that they still had 3 barrels.
I like the, what I put here
is that the rest of the episode is just a bunch of running around.
It's just a giant Benny Hill chase without the music. I have here, Smoker and Tashigi are in the exact same bar as Luffy and Usopp. This will only end in tears.
Yeah. So
Mostly
it's
for Tashigi.
There's a bunch of inconsequential fights. They're running around town. They're disrupting a bunch of things. And all of them effectively make it to the casino that they were looking for.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, Crocodile's right inside. And it's like, oh, this episode was kind of short.
We also have to talk about, this is the first time I've recognized the fact that Panda Man was in an episode.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen him a few times. Like he's in the very first. He's in the very first chapter. Yeah, he's in the very first chapter. But the problem is that the problem is that he's not too prominent.
Yeah, he's usually in the background. This is the first time I've recognized he's been in the scene because I know for a fact he's in the Arlong Park arc. If you don't know who Panda Man is, he's basically Oda, who is the mangaka, which is why he's allowed to do crazy, inconsequential stuff and just everything rolls on fine as is.
Yeah. And so it's like, oh, he's here. That's neat.
Yeah, these episodes actually, in terms of
they
story,
finally reached where they wanted to go, and the story's finally kicking into high gear. But the second half of this episode was kind of full of action just to make up for the fact that the anime hasn't had any in a while. Oh, yeah.
But the last point of real action we had was with the Barbar Sand Pirates.
Yeah, I was told by... And also, I never... Yeah, it's a good time to mention it. So I was actually alerted by our editor, Flash, that in fact... that Bar Barbosa guy is actually Redbeard, aka the who was actually a German emperor, a German leader or something. And I'm like, oh, it's like it's a German pirate guy. Okay.
I liked these episodes. Once it got off of the second episode in the set, it became really enjoyable for me.
Still about a silver though overall.
Oh yeah, this is a silver. Like if we were just going by the first 2 episodes, it would have been a low bronze. But having Crocodile come back and his merry band of holiday themed lunatics there was amazing. I loved seeing Mr. 2 and Crocodile playing off each other. It was great.
Yeah. There's not too much to talk about because all of the action is going to happen next week. So I guess we wait.
Next week and the week after that.
Do you want to announce what our next anime is going to be?
Okay. So there's a right and a wrong way to be introduced to a series. We're doing the first 5 episodes of Promise Neverland.
And like I basically explained to IJ the premise, and she said, I will only watch the first opening.
I didn't say that yet. Because here's the thing. You told me about this show about 30 or so minutes before I had to go to bed. And I had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Guess who was awake until 1 o'clock? You jerk!
Yeah, so it's like...
And I can't be mad at the messenger, so I can be mad at the message instead.
Yeah.
Which is sad, because Promise Neverland is a really good show.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna check out the first 5 episodes of that next week, along with the next few episodes. Hopefully this goes well.
Yeah.
Hopefully...
We're working with the technology we got.
Yeah. See you guys next time.
See ya. Bye.